Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom to the Torah tribes, Yash Allah, giving, of course, all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Ba, Shema, Mashak, Wamalak, Yahushua. That's all praises, honor, and glorification unto the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Mahashiach, Wamalak, Yahushua, the righteous. All right, so this is going into a Shar feast of unleavened bread to all that's observing it this week. All right, Lord willing that you're making your unleavened bread. You're rejoicing in the Most High and serving Him. All right, sincerity and truth. So basically, this is going to be a quick video. Shalom, Kroth, Bani Hawada. It's going to be a quick video going into, and Shalom, the mighty King Ishmael, right? Mighty brother, right? This is just going into what the Most High Judges Nations. And I'm doing this, kind of off the spirit, all right? Because, Christians, and a lot of people, they pull this. And because, the Most High, He does reward every man according to his works. Don't get me wrong. He always says that, right? Let's go to Revelation 22 and verse 12. It says, "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be." So the Most High, He's going to straight up give every man according as his work shall be. Whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get, right? As individuals. But on a nation perspective, because the Most High, He deals with nations, right? Ever since the time of the creation, right? Let's get this. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, and verse 8, right? Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8. It says, "When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance." So the Most High, He deals with nations, right? "When He separated the sons of Adam, He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel." All right. So the Most High, He deals with nations. He created multiple nations in these scriptures. And so the Most High, He has a judgment to certain nations according to the scriptures, right? According to what's written, right? For example, the judgment, or basically the lot of the children of Israel, His nation that He chose to be a peculiar nation unto Himself, or a peculiar people unto Himself, their lot is to get the kingdom of heaven, right? Let's get that in the book of, hold on real quick, right? Their lot is salvation, as a whole, right? As a whole. Let's get this precept in the book of Additions to Esther. Salaki, I gotta take this. Salaki. All right, Khan, Salaki, right? But this is the book of Additions to Esther. Addition to Esther, this is an Apocrypha, all right? If you don't have an Apocrypha, go get you Apocrypha, right? Say Addition to Esther, chapter 10 and verse 9, right? "And my nation is this Israel, which cried to God and were saved, for the Lord have saved His people, and the Lord have delivered us from all those evils, and God have wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles. Therefore have He made two lots." So there's two lots, right? One for the people of the Most High, and another for all the Gentiles. You see that? So there's two lots. A lot is a destiny, according to the scripture, because you have different types of lots. For example, a lot, you read about in the book of Jonah, they casted lots to figure out what was going on, to figure out who was the cause for their, the shipwreck. When you read the account in Jonah, that's a different type of lot. This lot is going into what? Your fate, your destiny, if you will, right? So there's two fates, right? One for the people of God. We know who the people of God is. People of God are the children of Israel, right? One for the people of God and another for all the Gentiles. So our lot as the children of Israel, as a nation, right? Because remember, all Israel, hold on, let me get this precept, right? The Most High, he deals with nations and he judges nations as a whole, right? That's why the whole nation of Israel had to go into captivity. For example, Ezekiel, right? Ezekiel was a righteous prophet, yet he still was in captivity for like his whole life, right? He was born into that, but he didn't do anything to deserve that. He was a righteous prophet, right? A righteous man. And you read in Ezekiel chapter 1 that he was in captivity, right? These people like Nehemiah, Ezra, these were righteous prophets, but yet they were still in captivity, right? With their people, all right? So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 25. In the Lord shall all the seed of Israel be justified and shall glory. So at the end of the day, all the seed of Israel is going to be justified, right? Meaning that what? They're going to be justified. They're going to be saved, right? And they're going to live in joyfulness and gladness, serving the Most High in the kingdom forever, right? But for all the Gentiles, the heathen, right, they're going to be serving in captivity and they're going to be in subjection under the children of Israel, right? And how's my hold on, Salaki, how's my internet connection? Right, hold on. Let me see if this is good. Because it's saying that. Right, hold on. Let me see if this is good. All right, Khan, it sounds good. All right. So Khan, Salaki. So there's two fates, right? And so the Most High, when we look at other nations, the Most High, he's going to judge these nations as a whole, right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 30. I believe this was Job 25, actually, right? Khan, the water, right? Say we're good. Right? This is the book of Job, chapter 30. This is the book of Job, chapter 34, and verse 29. And it reads, when he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him, whether it be done against a nation or against a man only? You see that? So the Most High, he can judge a man, right? As an individual, he does that all the time. He can judge a man as an individual, or he can judge a whole nation, right? That happened to the children of Israel, right? Doesn't matter if you were kind of good or bad, right? All of us still had to serve in captivity, right? You got brothers, right, in the shores of West Africa. They might have been keeping the commandments, right? They might have been keeping some of the commandments, right, to the best of their ability, yet they still went into them slave ships, along with the wicked of our people, right? Still stuck in the same predicament. Why? Because the Most High says, look, I'm going to judge the whole nation. All of y'all got to get it, right? So the Most High, he does that, all right? You read sometimes the Most High, he judges individuals, but the Most High also judges whole nations, right? So on Judgment Day, the Most High, he's going to judge Israel, right? Because remember, 2/3 of our nation still has to die, according to Zechariah chapter 13, verses 9 on down, right? But at the end of the day, he's going to give the whole nation of Israel as a whole, even the wicked ones that were wicked, right? He's still going to give them the kingdom, all right? That's the glory and the grace of the Most High. And the Most High, for these other nations, he's going to judge them as well, right? There could be some good so-called good Elamites who are the East Indians. There could be some good, right, so-called. I'm saying so-called, right? And it says, Salakia, because in the scripture it says, is there any that's good, right? No, not one, in Psalms chapter 14, I believe, right? But Khan, let me get this. Let me get this in the book of Acts, right? Because you might be like, well, that's kind of messed up, right? How come the Most High is just going to judge the whole nation like that? It's not messed up, because that's the glory of the Most High, right? Acts Acts chapter 7, right, in verse 6. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land. Whose seed? Abraham's seed, right? And that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years, right? This is going into what? When we served in Egypt, right? For 400 years. And the nation, right? It says, and the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God. And after that, they shall come forth and serve me in this place. Hold on now. It says, in that nation, right, that the Israelites will be in slavery to, will I judge. It didn't say just Pharaoh. I'm going to just judge Pharaoh, but not the other Egyptians. I'm going to just judge the Egyptians that didn't want to eat with the Hebrews, right? As you read in Genesis. I'm going to just judge them. No, the Most High said, I'm going to judge the whole damn nation, man, right? I'm going to judge that whole nation, right? We just read it. So because this nation is in reference to the Egyptians, right? When we served in Egypt. And when you read the 10 plagues in the book of Exodus, the Most High destroyed a lot of the Egyptians. And every firstborn, the 10th plague was what? Every firstborn of Egypt, right? And there could have been some Egyptians that wasn't really vexing Israel like that. They could have been cool with Israel, right? But no, the Most High still judged them. That's how he gets down. When we look at Egypt today, right, with the ancient civilization and whence, ancient Egypt was, right, like the pyramids of Giza, and we look at what was it, Ramesses, the city of Ramesses, and stuff like that. These cities are destroyed, right? They're destroyed and they're desolate, laid waste, right? So clearly the Most High judged them, all right? He judged that whole nation. And so America, the Most High is going to judge this whole nation, man. Edom, right? The nation of Esau, the so-called Caucasian man. The Most High is going to judge his own nation, right? His whole nation, every single Caucasian, man. Right? Let's get some precepts on that. Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. So every nation that devours the Israelites, the children of the Most High, right? Everyone that devours the children of Israel shall be devoured. This is what? Reap what you sow, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right? As you read in Exodus chapter 21, right? And all thine adversaries, every one of them, all of our enemies, right? Because the children of Israel, we have enemies, man, right? Wake your ass up, man. Wake your ass up, Jake, right? We have enemies. And our enemies, is clear, right? Who our enemies are, who the enemies of so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans are, right? It's these other nations. It's that Ishmaelite, right? That Arab man that's in your liquor store, right? Eyeing you every time you come in. It's that man. It's your damn Edomite boss, right? It's your damn Edomite boss at work, right? That's your enemy, man, right? These other nations, right? And Nehemiah 5 and 9 says, let me just get it right. Nehemiah 5 and 9. And when you read in what was that? Psalms 83, right? Verses 1 on down. These nations, these heathen, are the enemies of God, all right? Emphatically. Let's get this though. Nehemiah chapter 5, verse 9. It says, also I said, it is not good that ye do, ought ye not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies. You see that? So Nehemiah referred to these other nations, the heathen, as our enemies. But yet the so-called white man can be saved, huh? Right? But yet the so-called Ishmaelite, the so-called Arab man, he can be saved, right? But yet the so-called Asian man, he can be saved and be delivered, right? And be called the children of the Most High, right? No, we're reading right here. Let's get this. Back in Jeremiah 30 and verse 16, I'm reading from the top. It says, therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them. It says every one of them. That whole nation, right? The whole nation, every one of them, right? Shall go into captivity, So they're going to go into captivity. Why? Because they put the children of Israel into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. All right, that's plain and simple. So it's a perpetual judgment, right? Or Salakia, impending judgment on all these nations, right? It's coming. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. You can't stop it, right? So Khan, and the Most High, he judges, like I said, the Most High, he judges a whole nation. All right. What was this precept at? Right. I wanted to get this. I was thinking of the precept Slakia. Let me get this then. Let me try to find this in Isaiah, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter, what was this? 49. Khan. Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 25. It says, but thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. You see that? So the Most High, he's going to contend with those that contend with us. Right? Plain and simple, man. Plain and simple. Right? But Khan, so the Most High, and I'm doing this off the Spirit. All right? I'm doing this off the Spirit. But the Most High, he judges nations. All right? It doesn't matter if Edomite, a so-called white man, it's kind of buddy-buddy with you. Right? It's kind of buddy-buddy. Hey, maybe you can sit next to me in my kingdom, right? Or you can maybe you could when I get if I get delivered up, I can kind of take you with. No, you can't do that, because guess what? Though the Most High, hey, maybe that guy, this Edomite that you're kind of cool with, maybe this Edomite, he didn't really wasn't as evil as this other Edomite, right? Who was a descendant of some damn slave masters, right? And this guy, this Edomite, he's just kind of poor. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't really have much going on, right? He's not as evil. He's not as wicked as this other Edomite. It doesn't matter, man. The Most High, he's going to judge that whole nation, right? From time to time again, we see that. Because for the children of Israel, like I said, for the children of Israel, we still had to go into captivity, even the righteous ones of us, right? So how much more these heathen? All right. Let's get, Khan. I just thought of a precept, right? Let me get this. So what do you have? This is a book of Zechariah, chapter 14, right? Zechariah, chapter 14 and verse 16, right? It says this, and it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, because the Most High is going to judge every nation that came against Jerusalem. And Jerusalem's not necessarily going into what? The city of Jerusalem, like it is in Israel right now. It's not really going into that. It's going into the people, because we were a people before we were a nation, right? We were a people before we became a landmass, basically. Because guess what? When Israel became a nation, we weren't even in our own land. We were in Egypt, right? So, and we left out of Egypt. We were a nation, then we came into the land Canaan, right? But every nation that came against us, right, they're going to be judged. As we read, let's go to the book of Joel, right? It's the book of Joel real quick. Let me get this. Joel chapter 3. Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Bring the captivity meaning what? It's that old modern English, which means what? To end the captivity, right? And bring the people back, right? So because remember, in Isaiah chapter 14, right? Israel is going to be brought back to their own land, because we're not in our own land right now, right? We're not in our own land. We're in the land whether we were scattered, and we're serving in captivity right now. But when the Most High brings us back, and that's going into another thing. But when the Most High brings us back, that's what we're reading right now, right? Joel chapter 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. which is Yahweh's Shabbat, meaning Yahweh's judgment or Yahweh's decision, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So there, because the Most High is going to gather all nations to the valley Yahweh Shabbat, meaning the valley decision, right? And also the valley of Megiddo, which is located in the landmass of Israel. And so the Most High, he's going to judge every nation there, right? He's going to make them have a war there, right? They're going to have, World War III is going to be over there in the so-called Middle East. But again, they're going to try to fight against us as well. The Most High is going to destroy them, all right? The Most High is going to destroy every nation, right? That's there. But let's go back to Zechariah chapter 14. And this is after that, right? This is after all that war. This is after World War III. It's after Yahushua coming back, delivering his people, destroying the nations. This is after that. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. It says what? So because everybody has to go in the kingdom, everybody, every nation, all the nations of people that were left, they're going to have to go up and keep the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Verse 17. All right. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. You see that? So they're not going to receive rain, right? If they don't come up and worship at the Feast of Tabernacles, right? In the kingdom. So they will have to be keeping the laws. But the point I want to touch on in verse 16 is this. It shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations, you see that? Which came up against Jerusalem, right? So you'll still have nations, but these nations will be judged, right? So come. And right, let's see if I want any more on that. But con. Yeah, that's it on that. Right, that's it on that. But con, yeah. So with that, that's really what I wanted. All right. Just a quick video going into how the Most High, he would judge a nation, all right, and not just an individual. He can judge an individual, and he will, but he judges also by nations, all right. So with that, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh Shema Mashak wa Malak Yahushua. Lord willing, this was edifying. Shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah.